He's called the Millet Man of India. And he has been a huge force in spreading awareness about small millets. And that's when I learned about it. I was totally unaware of it, and they've been around for like thousands of centuries, he says, in all over the globe. So it's not just specific to India. They have been used and eaten, consumed all over the world. And the introduction that you made, Chayaji, in the beginning about closing the bridge, bridging the gap between the rural and urban divide, actually, we need to ruralize the urban areas more. It's
Yeah,
not the reverse. We don't
not
need
the
to
reverse way.
urbanize. We don't need to urbanize the rural areas. If we urbanize rural areas, we are going to lose a lot of valuable wisdom knowledge. So only that we need to do in the rural areas is cleanliness, electric power maybe, and that too in a thoughtful way, because electricity, this high glare is harmful. It has a negative impact on other life forms around us. So anyway, so I don't want to talk about rural, urban, the benefits and what each should learn from each other. Let's focus on the small millets. So small millets is
Are you
recently.
sharing? Actually, your share went off. I think your screen
Oh,
is not shared. We see you on the both. I think probably need to share your presentation.
I did. Hmm, The share button itself has
It's
gone.
down on the bottom.
Yeah, but it was there right now. But right now, oh, here it is.
Hover over, yeah.
Okay, share. Now,
Yes,
okay,
perfect. Mhm.
okay. So Dr. Khader calls small millets as gateway to human health, and I really like that expression, gateway to human health. So why we'll understand why it is the gateway to human health today. So when we talk about disease, when we look for a solution to any health issue, we are looking for reversal. We are not looking for management and to live with that condition lifelong, right? We want a reversal. So are we getting that? Is the question we should be asking. It's logical, scientific, right? So why we should be doing that? Are we reversing the condition? Because it is reversible. Practically every condition that we face is reversible. And what does that entail? Reversing entails that we change our food and lifestyle, because most of the time the problem actually lies there. See, there are different levels to our existence, to our body. There is a physical level, then there is which is visible, and then there is other levels like the mental. We can't see physically our thoughts, but they are very real, right? So emotional levels, mental levels. So we have to sustain the soul also, right? Spiritual levels. But we will confine ourselves to the physical. So what we put in our body by way of food and drink has a very deep and direct impact on its functioning. So it's a very obvious thing, logical thing that we miss somehow when we go out. Like, we don't want to just keep popping a pill. Pill will give alleviation. I have nothing against that. Sometimes we need that alleviation from our suffering, if it's acute pain or, bone fracture, or we need, right? But we can't stay with that methodology. Like, okay, because pills are disrupting our body processes. So, because it's not, especially this is more applicable when there's a chronic condition. If there's acute condition, fine, you take a pill, in 2 3 days your thing is gone. So but if you are suffering day in day out for years and years, that means we have to take a hard look at what we are eating, the way we live, and that's what leads to reversal. So you were talking, like, initially when I was told that this is in context, the whole talk today came up in context of diabetes. So diabetes is just an expression of an imbalance, but the root cause is mostly the same, whatever condition it is. Person A might have it expressed as diabetes, B will have some other condition, heart problem, some will have lung problem, some will have kidney problem, fatty liver, or whatever, liver problem. But the problems, I will come down. That's why I want to talk about Umbali here in this context later on. But the problem, the root cause is generally the same. It is imbalance taking place at three levels: at the glucose level, at hormonal level, and at the microbial level. So, in context of diabetes, yes, when we take medicines, the medicines have doing all these things that I've listed. It helps in the breakdown of carbohydrates because it's the carbohydrates processing which is faulty, right? Then it's the wrong listing. It interferes. It's not interview. Interferes with glucose production of the liver. These medicines. That's how they are managing the whole glucose flow in the body. It interferes with cholesterol processes, and it also interferes with the performance of amino acids, and it sends extra sugar to kidney. So these are the things that the drugs are doing. So we don't have to. And what are the side effects? These are the side effects we face, right? Undigested foods, bloating, flatulence, metallic taste. There is cross-drug interaction, which can be harmful. Vision is affected. There's constipation, there's kidney disease, there's headache. And then we know a lot of diabetic patients end up with limb amputation because of gangrene that follows, that develops in their bodies. So what is the answer? The answer is small millets or siridhanya. That is the scientific response. And why the scientific response? Because what is happening in diabetes is excess carbs. We all know that. Excess carbs, we are taking excess carbs by way of whatever we are eating. Mostly it is wheat and rice. And the problem with wheat and rice is that a lot of it is white rice that we are consuming. And then the roti that we go to the Indian store, you'll find frozen rotis. People are buying packs and packs of those roti packets frozen. It's convenient. You just take it, put it in your tawa, your skillet, you're done. Even with guests, when guests are coming, that's a favorite. You'll find people just serving those frozen rotis to everybody, not realizing the damage what we are doing to our body. It's better to get your guest also involved. Fresh roti, with whole grain atta, if you are having roti, rather than buying that frozen from the store. And slowly, one should move towards other more healthier, non-genetic, because wheat is a lot of it, wheat now sold is also genetically modified. So we have to slowly shift towards millets. You can start with neutral millets and then also introduce small millets. Small millets are very special, and these are five that we know of. There are many other varieties, Dr. Khadar says, but the five that are most common and popular now are the little millet, foxtail, kodo, brown top, and barnyard. And these have very high amount of fiber in them. So the fiber apparently is tied in, packed with the carbohydrate content of the grain. So when we eat them in the right way, and I'll tell you what is the right way, it gets released. The glucose release, which is coming from carbohydrate, gets released slowly. It's monitored by the fiber. So it gets released slowly in the blood. And Yatri will tell of her experience, like what happens, like how you can then control glucose levels in the blood. She has had personal experience with that in the family. So we are delivering glucose in the right way to the body, into the blood when we take siridhanya. And we need the glucose. We can't cut it off. Maybe temporarily, right? For 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, 2 months. But glucose is our primary source of energy. Keto diet relies on fats. Fats also give us energy, and it's a healthy, more efficient way of actually giving it. Gives greater energy for a smaller unit. However, we need glucose. So we need that because brain needs glucose to function well. But the fact is that a human body can only take 5 to 7 grams of glucose per liter of the blood. And when we eat wheat and rice and any other grains in excess quantity, especially, and which is very easy to do, lot of dal chawal. How much rajma chawal we eat? Plate full of rajma chawal, right? It's so tasty. We'll eat like tons of chawal. rice into our plate because it's so tasty, right? We don't realize, but we're supposed to have just a small katori of that white rice, but we don't. So what does that do? Do we have 5 to 7 grams of glucose per liter, and it gets absorbed, and immediately into the blood it goes, flushes into the gut because the breakdown is so quick because there's no fiber to control that. So we have way ahead of 5 to 7 grams, and then insulin has to be secreted. Now, insulin is very important in our body. It's regulating carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism, and protein metabolism. And so, if the body is getting so much glucose all the time, a lot of insulin is going to be needed to take out that sugar and put it somewhere. So, what happens now? Where is the body putting that sugar? It goes and puts it in the arteries, in the cells, in the liver, in the joints, in the heart. And that gets expressed in different conditions. So the problem is the same. Sugar is hiding in different parts of our body, and we don't know why each body behaves a certain way, right? Everybody, that is Bhagwan hi jane. So, so then we get high blood pressure if it is in the arteries, if it's in the cells, in the brain cells, we'll get Alzheimer's. If it is all over the body, then we get obese, and that happens. If it's in the liver, we get fatty liver. And if it's in the joints, we'll have joint issues, aches. And if it's in the heart, we'll get atherosclerosis, blocked arteries. So what do we do? What can I do? We cook with small millets. That's the answer. And we live in sync with the natural laws, which brings lifestyle issues, right? So we have to get up with sunrise. Before that, we have to meditate, we have to pray. Remember, we are spiritual beings first. And I will not hesitate in saying that some of you might be agnostics or atheists, but I believe in the existence of that energy. Who's created us? Who's created this whole world? We have to pay our respects, remember that energy, if you don't want to call God. And it doesn't matter what name you give, right? And we have to live and be grateful to that energy. Without that, if the soul is gone and our soul is part of that, this body is of no use. So we are spiritual beings first. And we have to live in sync with the natural cycles of nature. Okay, the sunrise, sunset, moon cycle, sun cycle, because it has a direct impact on our moods, on the microbes in our body as well. And that's when we start doing, we will see ourselves and the world change, okay, in terms of health, purely also health benefits. So I want to talk about ambali, fermented millets. I just posted a video yesterday, and sorry, Yatri, I couldn't do it earlier. So please do take a look at it, and do give it a try and share. After trying, share with me your experiences. I would love that. Whatever, if it's working, not working, because I've also pointed out what are the mistakes one makes while making ambali. A lot of people, ambali is not new, but not many people are seeing the benefits of ambali. And I've pointed out maybe what are possibly the mistakes that might be made in the preparation of ambali. Why ambali is important? Because they are a source of something very, very important for our body, and that is our gut microbiota. That is the foundation of human health. Now, even Yatri would know, being a food scientist, a lot, and many people, you don't have to, not, but no offense to her, but one doesn't have to be a food scientist to understand these things. And a lot of knowledge on health was actually shared and conveyed and transferred by very ordinary folks, the elderly women. That's how the knowledge, even Dr. Khader admits that he learned a lot of things that he did from these elderly women that he met in village after village after village. So he documented that. And that's how, like, the community that I have, we share, like, whoever knows something, we share, like, somebody posts their problem and then we share, like, how to, what worked for them. And that's how, hopefully, like, in many cases, it gets resolved. So gut microbiota, these microbiomes are doing a lot of things in our body, biochemical reactions, physiological functions, everything. So many things are being done by them. They even manufacture vitamins, nutrients, and B12, lot of a whole array, like whatever the whole digestive tract depends, not on whole body. There's microbiomes on our skin that, if you have the wrong kinds and you have skin issues, not only on the skin, but they're coming from the gut mostly. So fiber is key. Now, all vegetables, anything plant from the plant kingdom has fiber. So every fiber acts as what is called a prebiotic, right? So it goes in and that is consumed. Microbes are everywhere in our air, in our skin. So depending upon the kind of fiber we are putting in the body, the processing of that by these microbiomes leads to probiotics. So they are manufacturing probiotics. It's a metabolic byproduct of the processing of fiber by the microbiomes. So what fiber we are eating will determine what kind of microbiomes are there in our body. So Dr. Khader says millet fiber is the best fiber to put in our body because he calls them lignin. They are what are called lignans, and they are present in many, not just, so these lignans, not just millets, different variety of millets. Millets seem to have these very advanced or mature and complex fiber, which are called lignans. So in the other vegetables, like whether it's green spinach or zucchini or whatever, other vegetables, fruits have fiber too. They are not as mature as the millet fiber, as these lignans. And the breakdown of these lignans creates a diverse array of microbiomes, which are made when we make ambali, fermented millets. So they are living synergistically in our body, in our living cells, these gut microbes. And these are the things I've just pointed a few. So the kind of gut microbes we have will determine our vulnerability to diseases, whether they are communicable or non-communicable. If our and because they determine the health of our immune system. If the immune system is strong, we're going to ward off viruses that are, all these viruses that keep coming up that the media keeps talking about. Those will not affect us. And even if we have non-communicable, these chronic conditions, those will also go away. Diabetes is a non-communicable, right? High blood pressure. So all of these will be taken care of by the correct gut microbes, which come from having ambali and having millets. And they are doing, like I already mentioned, they're making manufacturing key materials. So because they're living synergistically in our body, synergism means I do something for you, you do something for me. That is synergy. So when we give those microbiomes the food that they enjoy, which is depending on the fiber. So whatever we give will create some microbes. If we are giving microbes, if we're giving stuff that will lead to pathogenic, then we'll have more pathogenic microbes. If we are having food that feeds good microbes, we will have good microbes. And so all of them sense the good microbes. They are our friends. They sense our body's needs. So they say, okay, you're giving me the food I like. I am going to see what you need, what your body likes. And they make those microbes, those probiotics, and which perform all these functions for us in the body. And that is manufacturing vitamins. Even forget these microbes also. Pran mudra. Pran mudra also is actually known to manufacture these vitamins, nutrients in our body. If you do pran mudra, go read up on pran mudra. So if pran mudra can do it, gut microbes are very real. They will do it. So pran mudra, that's a different level of understanding. That's on a science, let's say spiritual level, a pranic level, right? So the pranic level also, like there are women, if you read autobiography of a yogi, there is a description of a woman who didn't eat anything. She was living on pran alone and she was completely healthy and fine. How is that happening? She is performing on a different level. Now, science, as we understand it, will say, what is it? I don't understand that. If I don't understand it, I'm going to reject it. Well, it's our loss. If we reject it, we are rejecting a tradition from our culture, which is very well established and proven. So it is our loss if we subscribe to this incomplete science. Let me just call that incomplete. So the microbes are also, by the way, helping build our leaky gut is big today. We've heard, I don't know if you've heard about leaky gut. And leaky gut, the gut lining is also the gut lining, the cells in our body renew after a interval of time, right? All depending upon what cells they are. It's like, so the gut lining cells renew every 3 days. So if we are giving the right microbes are there, the gut lining will be strong and we will not have leaky gut problems. Now, gut is also connected to the vagus nerve. I've put this in my video also, the one I just mentioned to you. And the vagus nerve, it crosses from the brain to the all the way into our gut, and it touches all the organs also. So there is communication happening between, since most of the gut microbes are in the colon and small intestine, majority in the colon, there is signal transmission happening between these two regions. So gut is our second brain. So they are what they are determining how our brain functions, right? The neural network, the neurotransmitters. So mental illness can be also reversed if gut microbes are right. So they help in digestion, and even gluten. If we are fond of wheat, I'm fond of wheat. I admit that too. I've grown up on wheat roti, like a lot of North Indians eat wheat, right? So, but it's just become problematic. Doodh also, same thing. Milk has become problematic. So if we have the right gut microbes, they can also help in digestion of gluten. But we must have 2.5 kg of right kind of gut microbes. That's what has been found in studies. But what most people, city dwellers especially, have, the urban, rural people, folks will have better profile of gut microbes. That is why we don't want to urbanize the rural areas. Okay, that's happening now. So the urban folks on the other hand, who are much smarter and scientific, have a much diminished gut profile and 1 kg or even less. So we are destroying by our modernity, we are destroying these gut microbes. And small millets, they offer a complete amino acid profile. They lead to a great variety of gut flora. Their fiber is actually the master antioxidant. We are talking about free radicals, right? Antioxidant, let's take this, that, this for as an antioxidant, but small millets provides you that too. And they are bioavailable. Their nutrition in the body, nutrition that they provide gets absorbed by the body if we cook it the right way. They have to be soaked, they have to be washed, and all that is mentioned in my video. And they are, I don't know, sorry. So this is why I've written this. This something else got written. So this is a video I posted aerobically. So there is a difference in you when you watch the video, there is a difference in fermentation processes. One is aerobic process, which means it is done in the presence of oxygen, which is how we have to make the millets, small millets, ambali. Ambali is fermented millets. It's a South Indian word, ambali, but it's so becoming a popular. A lot of people know like what ambali is. It's fermented, basically fermenting the millets. So everything I've covered in this video. So what is aerobic, what is not. So dahi, when we make dahi, that is an anaerobic process because there is no oxygen. We make it in a steel vessel. Some people also make it in clay, but it is usually in a steel pot, and steel, when you put it and cover it, everything, there's no oxygen. And certain kinds of species of bacteria grow in anaerobic environment, and certain kinds grow in aerobic oxygen environment. Apparently, in an aerobic environment, a lot more species grow. And this, Dr. Kadir says he's tested, looked at the in a petri dish under the microscope. You can see all the names are not documented, but there is like thousands and thousands apparently of beneficial species when you ferment in a oxygen available environment. And in dahi, we will find some species, lactobacillus, acidophilus, or a few more, but they are limited. they are not like as many as the other fermented, the aerobic process yields. So I am going to stop here. I think this is enough, right? The time. If you have any questions, we can. I didn't talk about. I usually do talk about the fiber in millets and why the glucose release is so curtailed, so like controlled. So he says the control of glucose in the body is in the grain itself. So we can eat as much of small millets and not worry that this is going to lead to higher glucose levels in the blood, as it is with wheat and rice. Two chapati, one chapati, oh, like half a chapati. We don't have to do with small millets, right? We can eat as much as we feel till we are satiated. So there is a carb fiber ratio. I don't want to get into that. So they just understand in simple language that the fiber is controlling the release of the carb, and which means uh, it is controlling the release of the sugar in the blood. So I have some videos. I would like to put more in my channel, but I not as aggressive in that. So I have a smaller community, and but it's okay. I feel that if I change the lives of a few people, it's good enough. So if you want, you can check out and do subscribe, because that also leads to the popularity. If you post comments, like, and all of that, it leads to a wider spread of the information. So I would request you to do that if you like what I just shared with you all and feel that it was meaningful. And if you want to ask questions, you can ask now, and I have shared my email also. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaviji. If any of you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I do also want to mention, actually, if you would like, you can just share your social media, everything, all the links with me, and I can just post that into the group, since those videos are going to be very useful for everyone. I think they can all benefit from that as well. You can do that later also, no worries.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any of you have any questions for Chaviji? That was, by the way, very interesting and very informative presentation. So thanks. Okay, if not, Aparna ji,
yes.
Would you like to introduce Yatriji then, and then we can take
sure,
that
sure.
and maybe do the question answer. Yes. Thanks.
Of course. It is a great, great pleasure and honor to introduce my friend Yatri Shukla. She's a professor of business and calculus at Chapman University. She also a distinguished food scientist, food consultant, and food educator. And she will explain you detail how to read the labels. And she has also developed the successful food dairy product, including innovation, ice cream, flavor, yogurt, natural chocolate milk, and etc. She is a consulting worker with the many organizations, aligned with the product with the FDA and UCDA guideline, while educating healthcare professionals. And she also is a community leader, empowering the women also around her. She has a recipient of many awards for her. Welcome to Yatri Shukla.
Thank you, Aparna ji, for such a diverse inclusion of all topics in one. I just told you to talk about just food, but it's really nice the way you introduce myself. I appreciate that. I am I say former food scientist, and knowing Chavi through one of our women retreat groups and learned about her, I started to follow her just before COVID. And during COVID, around COVID times, where she connected with Dr. Kadarwali. And I follow her. So the Savera girl YouTube video, new one comes out, and I see what is she doing and what is she sharing. I learned a lot from her, and started following her, and also Kadarwali, Dr. Kadarwali. And as Dr. Kadarwali was starting to post things on how he can help with ambali and millets are good for you. And I've heard about millets, I know about millets, but was not into it a lot. just going about my business, being healthy, reading labels, and making sure we are eating healthy. Then during COVID, my elder daughter was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, and she was pricking herself and making sure that her blood sugar doesn't go up because it will affect her baby in the womb. And she was supposed to get checked regularly, and she was doing everything. And I kept telling her that, Beta, let me help you change your diet. And she's like, Mom, I can't deal with this. This is like new stuff. And if it is all these obsolete old stuff, like we talked about, old thinking, I don't really need that, Mom. I just need to eat healthy. I just need to go on a salad diet and just live with that diet and just be with it. And don't worry about me. I'll be fine. And then her blood sugar was still not under control. So then one visit she went, she was told that she's going to have to be put on metformin to control her blood sugar because her blood sugar is not coming under control. That's when finally I said, Beta, let me make a small change in your diet and let me just change one small thing. Replace your pasta and rice with millet. Oh, Mom, if it tastes different, I'm not going to eat it. It has to not taste different. I said, yeah, I'll take on that challenge. Let me make you rice. And you will not even know except the texture and the look of it. Just don't look down, just eat it without looking. Watch TV, watch something else while you're eating, and you will not know. So I took on that challenge. And the first time I cooked millet for her, I made Mexican rice, and I made millet, podo millet, and I made it with Mexican flavors. And it was a Mexican meal. So she had everything there, the beans and the rice, supposedly the millet rice. And I made a little bit of corn, sauteed some bell peppers. Basically, I made a Mexican meal, and she was able to eat that. And she said, I did see the texture. I did see that it was not my rice, and it was something different. But she was able to eat that. And, next day she has to do her blood check and everything. And she says, Mom, I don't think it really helped, but it did change something. My numbers are kind of looking good today. And I said, well, then do it for one more day. Give me 3 days. And she says, Mom, you're not going to be able to make the same food every day, right? And I said, well, what if I make khichdi? And the khichdi will have millet, but it will not look and taste. So she had khichdi and she was okay with it because I made khichdi with vegetables. So basically what I started doing is I started cooking with millet for her, and I was transitioning her with little bit of rice, little bit of millet. And I started using brown rice and quinoa, and I'm trying to figure out how I can, but millet was my main goal because I heard from Dr. Kadarwali and through Chavi that millets are really high in fiber. And I started doing my research, and I said, it should help. And then in the beginning, if anybody joined earlier, I want you to know that I went in and I went head first, say, I'm going to get millets, and I'm going to get all kinds of millets and try different types of millets. And then through Chavi, I found out where is the high fiber to carb, the ratio. And I started to look at it, and I said, okay, I'm going to try to experiment with this millet, that millet. And I was fooled because I will pick it up. I have not used them up because I got them and I don't see a good need for it. But these, they say pearled millet right here. It says pearled millet. And I didn't realize. And so that's why they are still sitting in my shelves, just to show it as an example. They are not the kind of millet you want to get. You want to get the millet where, now I get the raw millet, and it actually has a lot of powder at the bottom because the husk rubs against and the powder comes out. So for millet, that will not happen because the husk of the millet has been removed and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So you want to get natural, raw, organic millet, not really. So you want to get something that says organic, ethnic millet, something that is not pearled millet. So that's one thing. Also, we talked about I think the second thing I remember that both the ladies talked about the rural and urban bridging the gap. I remember growing up, we used to eat rotis and fulka rotis, where our uh, uh, house help, he was eating bajra roti, and we were like, oh, these poor people, they eat bajra roti. What do they know? We eat only bajra roti as a treat, like when we go out and for some rural taste of India. And so we would go to this restaurant where it was a rural taste of India, and we would eat bajra roti only for a special occasion like that, where we go out for. Now realize that bajra roti is actually the healthy food. And like Chavi said, we need to ruralize all of us and our eating habits, because what they were eating, unprocessed, adulterated food, no GMOs and all of that, that's the food we need to eat. And so now we realize that we need to really eat very close to home food, unprocessed, unpackaged. And I think Chavi talked about rice and frozen rotis. Rice can easily be replaced with barnyard millet. Barnyard millet, I I I use barnyard millet a lot, so now I have barnyard millet all the time in my house. Barnyard millet can be utilized in a lot of things that you eat, and I have a slide that I'm going to show. Also, let me. Do I have the rights to share my slide?
Yes, you should.
Okay,
Can you try now? If not,
yeah, let
I
me
can.
try.
Yeah.
One second. Now I have to get in. Let me see. I have to go to share. Okay, share. Can you all see this? Let me see.
Yes, it's better now since you are
Okay.
sharing one screen only.
This is an old slide that I had made. I just modified some things, but I want to tell you that I've been talking about millets and how it helps replace medicines after my daughter was benefiting from the millets. She was told by her doctor that if your mom is helping you with millets, then let's give it one more month and we will check your blood and see how it's affecting you. And it was able to replace the medicine that she was supposed to go on. So she was never put on the medicine because she was on a millet diet. And now she understands and agrees that some things that we do are not old-fashioned and obsolete. They do have benefits. And before I go into my slides, one of the things Chavi talked about is the Pran Mudra. And I want everybody to do this with me. Do your index finger and thumb and take a deep breath. You only breathe from the chest. Now, if you do the second finger and thumb and do the breathing, you go a little bit down to between the belly and the chest. Now, when you do the Prana Mudra, which is your ring finger and your thumb, your air goes all the way to the diaphragm and your belly. So your oxygen level increases in your gut. And that is the reason why it increases the the microbial flora in your gut, because the oxygen level is increasing in your gut. So if you're not doing it all the time, before you eat your meal, just do your Prana Mudra, take 5 deep breaths before you start your food. That is a good way to say, I'm always doing my Prana Mudra before eating. So help your gut have more oxygen available before you eat your food. So then your microflora gets, increased in your gut. And then if you do the pinky finger, basically it goes to your pelvic floor and you breathe all the way down, all the way to the pelvic floor. So if you're having pelvic floor issues, do the breathing all the way with your pinky, and a lot of Kegel exercises with your pinky finger that helps your pelvic flora. That's one thing women need to work on anyways. And so now I'll show my slides, and I want to talk about, this is one of the slides I had after millet was recognized as the food. 2023, it was the International Year of the Millet, and everywhere, even India, they had a summit where everything was prepared from millet, and that's when everybody was talking about, all food scientists and nutritionists were talking about millets. And there are a lot of benefits. I'm not going to go into each one right now, but each millet has its own benefit. To some extent, generally speaking, they all have the benefit of helping your immunity. It helps with your digestion. It helps with satiation, reduces your hunger. So it helps you with your weight loss. It reduces blood sugar because, like we've talked about, that it has a husk around it. So there is a high fiber. And so it slows down the absorption of your carbs. And so it really helps with your diabetes. And it is gluten-free, so it's really good for your gut. So there are a lot of benefits. I like to, people know that millets are good. And a lot of people, when they hear me talk about millets, they see me again and they say, Yatri Ben, you told about millets, but it's really hard to figure out how to cook with millets. I really don't know. I mean, you talked about it, but when I think about it, I can't really start making that change. So I tell them, make baby changes. You don't have to make changes all at once because then it's not sustainable and you're not going to do it. So do something that you normally do, like you make your normal rice, add a little bit of millet to your rice. So that way you are doing half and half. Then you realize that, hey, I didn't realize there was millet in it. So then, like I did for my daughter, I started making only rice, replaced 100% with millet, and she was okay with it after a while. Please give it a try. After today's talk, if nothing, at least replace your rice with millet. And if you can do 100%, do half and half. So then you realize that it is doable. It is easy transition. It's easy to do. Second thing is in khichdi. Khichdi, we make it with dal and rice. And whatever proportion you have your rice in, do half of that rice with millet. And again, barnyard millet is the easiest one. So if you are going to make the change, go with barnyard millet first, because I know for a fact I've used it for my daughter and it has worked and it really made a difference. Poha. A lot of us love poha for breakfast or lunch. It's, poha has a different texture. It's flat rice. You can't really replace millet, right? But what I want you to do is soak your millet and cook it with very little water and make it like dried rice pretty much. And then when you're ready to mix the poha with your tadka, add the millet at last minute and then mix it in. So there is some poha, but some millet. And then you will see that millet replaces half of your poha. And if you're adding other vegetables, you are already making it healthy. So I add nuts. I add a lot of sprouted mung beans in it. So my poha has a lot of stuff in it that makes poha healthy. But try millet in it. It really makes a difference. Also, if you're doing idli or dosa, you have to use rice. Start using, like I said, rice with millet first, and then start reducing the rice content and increasing the millet ratio. So gradually you'll realize that you can actually do urad dal and millet and make the dosa. It's really doable. Idli also. So try the transition version, which is half rice, half millet, and then change the ratios. Roti and millets. Chavi talked about the small millets. I'm going to talk about the big millets also, the jowar and bajra. We already know that jowar and bajra can be made into rotis. And if people don't like the jowar and bajra rotis, again, do what most of us do when we, learning how to use bajra, because it doesn't stick. So I used to learn to make bajra roti with a little bit of wheat in it. So then it has a little bit of gluten from the wheat and it will bind. And so do half and half, half millet or half bajra and half wheat, and then reduce the ratio of your wheat. And then gradually you learn how to make bajra roti. So that gluten is not there in the millets. And so that's why it doesn't bind. So psyllium husk, I remember when I talked to Dr. Khader, one of our seminars that Chavi was hosting, we were supposed to talk to Dr. Khadarwali after the meeting, but I joined early while they were getting ready. And so I was able to talk to Dr. Khadar and said, my daughter is asking for pasta. I'm really trying, and I'm trying different things. And he suggested, do a combination things, or try the psyllium husk. And I did he suggest, or somebody I think suggested, try psyllium husk, sorry. So psyllium husk is used for people who need soluble fiber for if they have constipation issues. So psyllium husk is utilized only as a laxative. But if you use a teaspoon of it in your roti, bajra or jowar roti, then it helps the binding process, and it's not going to give you laxative effect. So believe me, if you just use a teaspoon of psyllium husk, it doesn't give you that laxative effect, but it helps you with binding, and it really helps. Ragi rotis are really, really good. The thing is, with ragi roti, you have to eat them really warm and fresh. Otherwise, they get chewy and rubbery. So it's really hard to eat them after the fact. But if you are making rotis with ragi flour, you need to have boiling water to mix the ragi flour and mix it really fast so that it dissolves in it. And then once it's dissolved, cover it up and leave it alone, and then knead the dough before you start making roti. So ragi rotis are also really good. So this is only about the roti and millet. So how do you replace millets with the wheat? The wheat, normally we eat wheat. So we can do jowar and bajra, and we can do ragi. Also be creative, like I did with my daughter, trying to mix different ingredients and spices. So Mexican rice I made with all the Mexican herbs, so tomato sauce, garlic, onions, and then I used the ingredients like oregano and all of that for my daughter, and she didn't realize that I was using millet. Again, Italian, she loves Italian food, and I said, can I make Italian rice? And she says, Mom, what's that? And I said,
Chavi at
so I said, let me make it, and then you taste it, and it will replace your. She wanted pasta one day, and I said, I can make quinoa pasta or protein pasta, and she says, Mom, they are chewy, I don't like it. I said, what if I make my millet rice with Italian herbs? And she says, try it, and I'll try it. And she gave it a try, and she loved it. So the Italian herbs, I put it in there. She loved it. Also, be creative. Wash your millets, any millet that you want to use, and wash it, dry it, air dry it, and then grind it and create like the powder that gives you the texture you are looking for to make parathas and chillas, theplas, hando, dokla. A lot of creative ideas. Use millet powder to make all the things you normally make, and like I said, experiment. So if you can't go 100%, do half and half or creative ratios, and then gradually transition out. You can, in Chavi's group, I learned there is one lady that really does good with baking cookies and cakes using millet. And she also uses psyllium husk and all the other creative ways to bake. And it's really possible to bake. And I follow Chavi. Please, 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 if you're looking for creative ways to be healthy, not just eating millets. At Chavi's group, I learn a lot about different shampoos and different skincare materials, and have recipes and remedies. So Chavi at Savera Girl is really the place to go if you really are looking for a way to improve your quality of life. She has the kitchen pharmacy. I think we should all follow the kitchen pharmacy YouTube channel, because we learned so many new ways to do things that we normally would see it in the market and go, it's kind of hard to do. But once you look at a way somebody has come up with a cute, easy way to make things happen, then you don't feel like overwhelmed to come up with your own way to do something. You can actually take that recipe, and all you have to do is just try it one time. When you try it one time, you become addicted to it, because you see the benefits, and then you feel like, hey, if it worked once, why don't I do it all the time? It is okay some once in a while to go to the market and get the ready-made stuff, but as much as possible, you can make a lot of these things at home. Um, Besides that, talking about gut microbe, Chavi touched on it. Chavi talked about it a little bit. Umbali, you make the umbali like 8 parts water, 1 part millet, and you cook it. You store it with a kapda, like put a cloth on it and cover it up and leave it overnight or 2 nights, depending on the temperature in your house. And then, like she said, is aerobic microbe growth inside. And then our celebrities, our Bollywood celebrities are going after millet. Why not us? So what you can do, and I know one of our celebrities, I forgot her name, she actually makes ambali. I mean, her cook makes the ambali. And then she makes yogurt, mixes yogurt in it and makes chash with mint and jeera and all of that. And so she doesn't need to warm up the food. Ambali, the problem is when you cook, don't cook it. I like warm food. But so ambali with something, then you worry about all the microbes that you have grown overnight. When you eat something warm with it, you are destroying some of the microbes. But don't worry about that. Just eat it anyways and make chash out of it. That way you are eating your regular food with chash made with ambali, which is millet, and you are going to get the benefit. So that is about what I wanted to talk. I mean, there's a lot about pills. She talked about how it affects your gut for acute cure, and for chronic, you don't want that pill to become part of your body. My dad was a kidney patient when he moved in with me after living with my brother for many years. And he had to transition from taking medications to just eating foods healthy with me. And in the beginning, he was hating it. But he saw the benefits, and his doctor called me in the office and asked me to teach the nutritionists in the Kaiser Hospital on how to transition people from eating pills to eating healthy food. And even corn and potatoes that are restricted on their diet, I was able to give my dad corn and potatoes processed in a way that I washed out the starch in both of these foods. So they were able to, people in Kaiser who were attending the lecture were able to benefit from how you can work on improving your health by just focusing on food. And I am a food scientist, so I understand how food affects your body at microbe level into your each cell. How does the food enter in your body? And we can have another talk on gut flora, and Chavi and I can come back and talk more about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Atriji. That is wonderful, actually. Good presentation, and I'm sure all of us actually got more curious about knowing the which small millet to use, and you came actually fully prepared with the bags and which one to use, which is not, which really gives the, we always believe in like seeing in the believing and all that. Actually, when you see that in front of you, okay, this is the millet I should be using, and that just registers in your mind. So thank you for being prepared, and both of you actually did really
Thank you.
Share a lot of good information,
I've done online cooking, and I
Yes.
show 1 spoon of this and 1 spoon of that, and I've done
We should try
online.
that one
So
time.
Chavi was telling me one time we should do your kitchen video, YouTube video on
Absolutely,
how to
we
make millet khichdi, because I did it in a restaurant. I got permission from somebody there in the restaurant, and then I said, can I make the khichdi here? And they allowed me to bring khichdi in my pressure cooker. I brought it in, and I also prepared like a mock preparation. And at that time I brought all kinds of millets and all the ingredients, and people loved it, that there was something they can take it home and immediately implement.
implement that.
It's the
Yes,
hardest
We
thing.
can do a coast to coast on millet khichdi.
yes, absolutely, we can.
Let's do that one day.
We
Yeah,
can
we
do
can
that.
think of that.
Absolutely. Yes,
And I'll
yes.
have all the optional ingredients that people can add if they want to.
That will be really wonderful to see it. And I think, yes, we should try that one more time maybe after a couple of months or something, and we can come back and visit this. I think this is very informational webinar, and the knowledge that you both of you shared, and I think a lot of people could benefit from that, and it should be reaching to the more and more people as well. So
I
we
also
should
have a
try back
presentation on
again.
how to read the labels. I have a presentation on
Absolutely.
how to
Oh,
read the
nice.
labels, because a lot of people buy processed packaged foods and they don't know what they are supposed to focus on, what they are supposed to be looking for, because a lot of people don't know gelatin is not vegetarian and carmine in guava juice is not vegetarian.